be late. Can we hurry it up?
Slow down, son. We've got a lot of people in front of us.
Why do we have these lines? Why do we have these rules? Can we all just get our coffee and go?
Which is better, to have laws and agree, or to hunt and kill?
You're familiar with William Golding's Lord of the Flies?
Oh, I know it very well indeed.
I have never understood how an author could generalize evil human nature to all of mankind. It makes you wonder why he completely disregarded those with morality. What about the good people in this world?
Well, son, before you say anything insulting, I'll have you know that I am William Golding.
Sir, I beg your pardon. If I had known,
Never mind. It is quite refreshing to find a man as passionate and interested in the topic of human nature as I am. What I have to say about the wicked nature of the human race is, take a look around you. Take a look at me. Take a look at you. A minute ago, your frustration of waiting in this line initiated rather negative attitudes towards the people ahead of you. Your first concern is completing what you need to complete, which is getting your coffee and not being late to your meeting. Now, I don't mean to criticize. Your response was only natural. Our human nature is inclined to selfish desires, putting ourselves first, and considering the needs of others after we are comfortable, or not at all. Personally, I believe that at one point, everyone has to face the fact that our uninfluenced, pure human core is truly dark and evil. The overarching theme of the novel can be summarized in my finishing quote. Ralph wept for the end of innocence, the darkness of man's heart, and the fall through the air of the true wise friend called Peggy.
Mr. Golding, sir, your knowledge in this area is quite profound, and I cannot tell you enough how much I value this interaction. I have admired your literary abilities for years. I am also a writer, and I have written some on the topic of human nature as well. However, I tend to look at human nature as a field, newly laden with pure white snow. When we enter into this world, we are uninfluenced, we are naked, we are a white expanse waiting to be trodden upon by the events of our lives. These experiences shape our values, and our values shape our decisions. In one book I wrote back in 1959, A Separate Piece, I focused on two characters, especially to illustrate the concept of self-knowledge, but also human nature. One boy, Finney, represented the good of human nature, while the other, Jean, represented the evil.
Hold on a minute. May I have a large black coffee, please? The end of innocence and the darkness of man's heart.
And I'll have a large with cream, please. And no sugar. No, thank you. You see, the dark coffee represents evil, while the white cream represents the good in people.
Clever boy. I see what you did there. Don't you have a meeting to run off to?
It can wait. How many times am I going to run into William Golding at a coffee shop in Boston and debate human nature?
True. Please continue with what you were saying.
Well, first off, my name is Jonathan Knowles. I am a writer, though not to be compared with you. As I was saying, though, Jean represents someone who was shaped by jealousy and stubbornness, and was influenced to act wickedly against a benevolent friend named Finney. Finney was a character who resisted the hatred of the world and kept his focus on being a good friend. On page 59, Jean explained that he had need being jealous of me for a second, while his own envy had convinced him that Finney only wanted to be his equal. Jean's jealousy, on the other hand, drove him to deliberately push Finney out of a tree. Jean was driven by jealousy, while Finney was driven by loyalty and determination. Finney's nature did not contain evil. Sure, he wasn't Jesus, but he was not out to harm those around him.
I see what you're saying.
He considered Jean before himself, but Jean was more concerned with his personal needs and desires. You see, if Jean hadn't fallen out of that tree and given Finney an opportunity to think for Jean as opposed to himself.
Okay, I see your point.
Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Part of the population is inclined towards doing good, while part is inclined towards evil, purely based on what they have experienced and what they have been taught. Your argument definitely holds water, though I remain secure in my belief in a malignant human nature.
Please, sir, I still don't understand how such a pleasant man as you could produce such a dark, though thought-provoking piece of literature. Children trapped on an island murdering each other?
Jonathan, my boy, Are you truly surprised? Look at the world. Look at the time period we were living in. World War II was only evil. There was only death, only pain. How could I see the joy in that? There was none. There was only ruthless murder and the demonstration of our human nature.
Yes, but how do you address those who hid Jews in their houses? Those who remained immoral and continued to practice goodness towards others? This is where I'm more inclined to side with the ideas of a blank slate human nature.
Society does a pretty good job at suppressing our natural state. In most cultures, extreme destructive behavior is harshly punished and blatant cruelty is frowned upon. Therefore, people restrain themselves to save face and to stay out of jail. People do good things because it wins them favor in the eyes of the people around them, and because it has rewards like liberty in life. People will give money to charity, and people will hide Jews because it's what sets them above the people around them. Now please, tell me more about a separate case, for I'm truly intrigued.
This was a story I wrote about two boys, Gene and Phineas, as well as several others, and their lives at school during World War II, and their battle with self-knowledge. Finney not only represented upright human nature, but also the importance of having self-knowledge. Each of the other characters lacked self-knowledge and was faced with a specific enemy that plagued him day after day. Therefore, I decided to sum up the book by saying, all of them, all except Phineas, constructed at infinite cost to themselves these Maginot Lines against this enemy that though they crossed the frontier, this who never attacked that way, if he ever attacked at all, if was indeed the enemy.
Outstanding! Self-knowledge is such a significant theme, so applicable to readers, so crucial to human population and society. Pray tell, why Maginot Lines?
Each of the boys' attempts to defend themselves against the enemy, whether it is jealousy, ego, or naivety, eventually broke down like Maginot Lines. Gene, for example, tried to fight his jealousy towards Finney by telling himself that Finney was also jealous of him. However, when he discovered that Finney was never actually jealous of him, he was conquered by his enemy, jealousy, and pushed Finney out of the tree.
Well done, well done. If I may, I also touched upon self-knowledge in Lord of the Flies, though not explicitly. I included two characters similar to your Gene and Finney. As you know, Ralph and Jack were enemies. Ralph exemplified a stronger resistance of his evil nature, while Jack gave in quite easily. Ralph knew who he was and who he wanted to be, and did not conform to the corrupt ways of the other boys. Jack gives into his sinister nature and tries to gain the respect and admiration of his fellow savages. He feels most comfortable when he is hiding behind a mask. Jack loved putting on the mask because the mask was a thing of its own, behind which Jack hid, liberated from shame and self-consciousness. I think we can both agree that people who lack self-knowledge are most easily manipulated and do things most irrationally.
I certainly would agree with you on that point.
Sadly, I really should be going. My wife is waiting for me at home. It was so nice to meet you, and I fully enjoyed our conversation.
Please, sir, may I write to you?
Of course. Here's my information. I hope to hear from you soon.
Goodbye, Mr. Golding. Goodbye, my wise and dark and kind teacher.